Hello, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Michael White. My presentation is titled From Freedmen's Colleges to Modern Campuses, Tracing the Access and Success of Black Students in Higher Education Since the Civil War. This research explores the historical, development, and ongoing challenges Black students face in accessing and succeeding in U.S. higher education. Since the Civil War, Black students have made significant strides in higher education, yet disparities in access, retention, and graduation persist. The purpose of this study is to examine how the historical legacies of freedmen's colleges continue to influence today's educational landscape. Guided by critical race theory and social capital theory, this research highlights how institutions and communities can promote equity for Black students. The study is driven by two core research questions. First, how have the legacies of freedmen's colleges shaped modern strategies for Black student success? Second, how do Black students experience the impact of emergency policies and innovations on their access to higher education? The historical foundation of this study begins with freedmen's colleges, established during Reconstruction to provide newly freed African Americans with access to education. These institutions evolved out of informal, community-based learning and were often supported by religious groups. Although the effort to establish higher education institutions for formerly enslaved individuals was commendable, some founders had hidden agendas. In addition to teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic, some missionaries aimed to promote their specific version of Christianity among the formerly enslaved population. Gassman, 2010. The goal of some missionaries was to rid the country of the menace of uneducated African Americans. The Black church in particular played a vital role in founding and sustaining many of these early schools, creating culturally affirming environments that laid the groundwork for future generations. Despite this strong legacy, Black students today face many challenges. These include racial battle fatigue, microaggressions, and a lack of culturally responsive support at predominantly white institutions. Financial burdens, defunded DEI programs, and the rollback of affirmative action further exacerbate these inequities. These contemporary issues reflect the persistence of systemic racism within higher education structures. My literature review reveals several key themes. First, scholars such as Anderson and Gassman document the historical development of HBCUs and their transformative impact. Second, the literature identifies significant gaps in resources and support for Black students, particularly at PWIs. Third, research shows that inclusive policy frameworks and collaborative partnerships can enhance retention and academic success. Finally, there is a growing emphasis on integrating culturally responsive pedagogy and equity-focused leadership. This qualitative study uses a historical narrative methodology to examine how past events and structures influence present-day student outcomes. Data will be collected through archival research, interviews, and institutional analysis, and student narratives. Sites include historically Black colleges and universities, predominantly white institutions, and church communities. The study focuses on two participant groups: Black undergraduate and graduate students, and institutional educators or historians. Participants will be purposely selected to reflect both historical and contemporary perspectives on Black education. Student participants must have completed at least 1 year at their institution, while faculty or staff must have had at least 3 years of relevant experience. Data collection will include primary archival materials such as Freedmen's Bureau's reports and institutional charters. I will also conduct semi-structured interviews with students and educators, gather reflective narratives, and analyze institutional documents such as equity reports and retention data. These varied sources will provide a rich, triangulated data set. Data analysis will follow the iterative, thematic coding process. In the first cycle, I will use descriptive in vivo and values coding to capture participant voices. The second cycle will employ pattern coding to group insights into broader themes. Archival and institutional documents will be analyzed using content analysis. In vivo and deduce software will support this process. All data will be interpreted through the lenses of CRT and social capital theory to draw meaningful, contextualized conclusions. To ensure trustworthiness, I will apply Lincoln and Guba's criteria of credibility, dependability, confirmability, and transferability. Triangulation of data sources, member checking, and reflective journaling will be used throughout the study. As a researcher with personal and professional ties to both HBCUs and PWIs, I acknowledge the importance of reflexivity and positionality in shaping this inquiry. My lived experience informs this study and deepens my commitment to honoring the voices of those often marginalized in educational research. I would like to conclude by saying this study connects the powerful legacy of Freedmen's colleges with the ongoing realities of Black students navigating today's higher education system. By drawing from historical context, centering marginalized voices, and exploring institutional strategies, I hope that this research contributes to the national conversation on educational equity. It is not enough to simply open doors. Institutions must create environments where Black students can thrive, succeed, and lead. Thank you. Below are the references used in this presentation.